2, 1. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
It's good, man. It's good to see you.
Same here.
It's good to finally get you in here. I love your stuff, your brand, your company you've built.
Thanks.
I love it.
Thanks.
And for everyone that's not listening or watching on YouTube, he brought me this badass bag full of stuff from his company, High Speed Warrior. So a business card, these dope-ass stickers.
Yep. One of each size.
And then, holy shit. Oh, this is a kick-ass shirt.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this is a kick-ass shirt. So there's the front with the logo, and then the back has a giant logo. That's badass. And this is all available online.
There it is. Officialhighspeedwarrior.com.
All right. How long have you been running the site?
So, I barely started my business August of last year, so coming close to a year now. And it's pretty funny. It's a funny story behind it because it started as a small joke.
Yeah.
A little inside joke.
Oh, and thank you for this.
Oh, you got it, man.
One of the best energy drinks out there.
Yeah, dude. Every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started as an inside joke with the buddies. We were at NTC last year. And one of my buddies, he was like, hey, man, we're out in the field doing our shit. And he comes up to me. He's like, dude, it'd be funny if you had a sticker of yourself. And I was like, you know what, dude, that sounds like a pretty rad idea. Why don't we go along with it? So his girlfriend makes stickers, apparel, all that stuff. So I was like, well, let me shoot you a photo and you can send it to her. I mean, let's see what comes of it. So we sent it to her, and a couple days later, she sent the silhouette, the infamous silhouette.
Yeah. Continue your story. I'm just going to check the cameras, make sure they're still running.
Gotcha.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it was the silhouette is actually a picture of myself in a deployment in Africa. So we rolled with that, and it turned into a sticker, and they sold pretty good. So I was like, fuck, dude. Well,
So
that's me.
this is the silhouette he's referring to.
Yeah.
Okay, badass.
It's so that's when we were in Djibouti, and that's when I took a picture of myself in Djibouti. So hey, man, I took it, and we rolled with it. The sticker sold pretty good, so that clicked a little switch in my head, and I'm like, hey, well, the sticker sold good. What else can I do with this?
Yeah.
So I threw it on some caps, some mugs, and there was a good story to go, dude. And that's what became of High Speed Warrior.
No, that's badass, man. So how long have you been in the military for?
Military, since 2018. I enlisted April 6th, 2018, so a little over 4 years now. I'm planning to make a career out of it, so I got a long ways to go.
So you're in the guard side of it. Are you considering going active duty, or are you going to maintain like the guard and then do a civilian job and go that route?
It's funny you asked that.
Do you know?
It's very funny you asked that because since I enlisted, there's another long story behind it. But when I first tried to enlist, I was trying to go active, and this is back in. So when I got out of high school, I tried to get into the military, but I had a pretty bad juvie record. So years and years went by, man. Tons of waivers. They still didn't take me in. I've tried every fucking branch, dude. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I tried Air Force. I tried Navy. I tried everything, dude. And they were all just saying, fuck you. And I was like, okay, whatever. Everything happens for a reason. 2015 was the last time that I had tried before I actually enlisted. And I was trying to go active duty, Army. And same thing. I was engaged with my wife then at the time. And she, because they were going to send some more waivers up, they said, well, if you're going to take your family out to base once you graduate basic, why don't you guys get married and we'll send the marriage certificate along with your waivers and get everything done at the same time. I was like, cool. So we scheduled a court date to get married the very next day, dude.
And this is while you're trying to go to active duty.
Right.
Okay.
So I was like excited. We got married through the courts just to speed up the process. It wasn't planned to get married that fast, but we did it. And a month later, they said that the waivers were no-go. So I was like, fuck, dude. Like, I rushed all this shit or whatever. It happened.
This poor woman just signed her life away.
Yeah. Luckily, we're still married. She loves me. I love her. But yeah, they said try in another few years. I was like, God damn, dude. By the time, I'm already 25 at that time. So I was like, dude, am I even going to be interested in the military after, getting turned down so many times?
Yeah.
So 2018 came around. I was still in the flow, man. I went through a little depression mode, whatever, after 2015 getting rejected for the 15th millionth time. 2018 came around. For the fuck of it, dude, I went again. And I was like, well, let's try the guard side this time. Let's try and put my foot in through the door this way. So I went in and did all the waivers, the same shit that I did 50 million times. And a month later, again, I got a call and said, hey, come in tomorrow to MEPS. We'll get you in. I was like, fuck, dude, no way. This is a joke. And I went, dude. I went to MEPS. I enlisted, and I couldn't believe it, dude. I couldn't believe it. After all the fucking work, I persevered. I didn't quit. You know, that's part of the story behind of what I am and who I am. I just kept going at it. I didn't fucking quit for anybody or anything, no matter how many obstacles, no matter how many court documents I had to get, no matter how many fucking questionnaires and shit I had to fill out. I did. I wanted to join the military as a kid. I finally fulfilled my goal of doing it, and that was a big day for me, April 6, 2018. So that's why I plan to make a career out of it, not just my 4 or 6 years, whatever.
And so you found that you obviously found the least resistance on your path to get into the military. You found the least resistance going into the Army. And what's interesting that like the time frames, if you look at it politically, trying to enlist for the first time in 2015 was during the Obama administration. Yeah. And that's when they were just doing budget cuts left and right.
Yeah.
I believe that's right after like 20,000 Army captains, or it was either 10,000 or 20,000. I know it's a huge deficit, but 10 or 20,000 Army captains got fired.
Yeah.
Like they just got relieved. They're like, we don't need you anymore. Fuck off. Like have fun. They didn't collect retirement. They didn't do any of that. They're just like, peace. Have a good one.
Yeah.
And then come the 2016 election, I know a lot of people, not just dudes, but like a lot of people that just immediately went into the military in one way or another because they knew Trump was president.
Yeah.
Because of how like pro-military he was.
Right.
Which is absolutely bananas to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, for better or worse, I mean, that's just absolutely bananas. And I know a lot of people that had the same situation you had, where they had tried, waivers got kicked away, or they were given false promises, and then just those waivers were signed left and right under Trump.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one of the things that that does kind of worry me about Biden. And one of the multitude of things that worries me, to put it conservatively, right? That worries me is a lot of the things that are happening. People, that's why I don't think it's necessarily a well evidence-based thought to say that like maybe there are Obama practices being put in, or maybe Obama's kind of whispering in his ear, Michelle's whispering in his ear.
Yeah.
But a lot of the way he's treating the military, the indifference he's giving the military right now, echoes what Obama was doing.
Yeah.
And it does worry me what they'll start to do, because I mean, I read an article maybe a month ago that the Army has hit 22% of their goal, 29% of their recruiting goal.
I saw that
for their fiscal year.
Yeah.
And I don't think Biden's necessarily helping.
Yeah.
You know, certainly after the pullout from Afghanistan.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't help.
You know what I mean? So does that as a service member, does that mess with your head a little bit? 'Cause I mean, like, ever since 9/11, there's been a mindset of like, well, I've heard this and read this from so many service members just across the 5, now 6 branches.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, who are we fighting for? Who's really in charge? Whose needs are we serving?
Yeah.
And now just after that, now under Biden, how do you digest all of that? Everything's been going on just from 2020. How do you digest all of this?
So it's been, you know, because I came in 2018, you know, I was fresh, I was green, learning a lot of the practices and, you know, everything into the military bearing. When Biden got elected, it was definitely a change, and you could see it. One of the main things, you know, it is hard to take in. It's hard to process everything that's going on with the military, especially the pullout of Afghanistan, all this stuff. And I've tried to refrain from like political stuff, posting online, this and that, but it's so hard not to.
Yeah.
Being a service member, and not only that, but on the civilian side, you know, we have the freedom to say whatever we want, and if we're gonna get punished for that, or you know, grounded in some kind of way, then so be it. But that's what it is. This is America.
The podcast is brought to you today by OrganicPriceBooks.com. I love comic books. That is absolutely no secret to any of my friends, family, or listeners. And right here is just some of the comics that I have either bought or gotten sent to me by the fine folks over at Organic Price Books. As you can tell, they have a wide selection from DC, Independent, Marvel, and they have become the number one spot for everything omnibus, oversized hardcover, or just general collected editions. No matter what you want, they've got it. Go to their website and at checkout, use our promo code, just my name, Noah, Noah, to get additional discounts on top of what they already offer, which ranges anywhere from 30 to 50% off. OrganicPriceBooks.com, use my promo code, Noah, Noah, and start reading comics today. Well, it's always been interesting to me when people, like specifically people in the military, get in trouble for speaking, like, because it's one thing, because I know they're not allowed to go out in uniform.
Yeah.
And like go to protests and like that's fair.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the uniform, you are representing an organization, you're representing, like, it's all supposed to be literally uniform.
Yes.
Right? It's all supposed to be the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Like your race, your gender, your political views, none of that matters. Because you're doing a specific job under, this, that, and the other. But as a human being, because they're supposed to be the land of the free, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And as a human being, in my opinion, you should be able to say whatever you want. I mean, to an extent, obviously you can't harbor or at least express like violent statements or incendiary statements or certainly not like terroristic statements, but like having fair criticism. Yeah. Like there should be fair criticism of those above you. And then one of the best ways I heard it put, someone who's actually used to be in the National Guard a couple of years ago, we're having a conversation like this. And they asked me, do you know what makes our military better than like China or North Korea or like Russia, right? They beat us by numbers in the millions. Yeah. I mean, you can't really question that. Yeah. But what makes our military so much better is that we're not a top-down organization. We're a bottom-up. And the way he explained that was if you and your fucking platoon or your company or whatever, you're going to go storm that hill. And your captain or your lieutenant says, all right, go take that hill. A sergeant or whoever is able to go up and say, hey, if we take that hill, we're going to get fucking bombed. So how about we don't do that? We reassess and we figure out a different plan. Yeah. They are inclined to believe you and to take that into consideration and do what they got to do. And you're not going to get in trouble for that, in theory, right? You're not going to get in trouble. It's very cut and dry, but, Yeah. In China, North Korea, Russia, you question your authority, they just shoot you, replace you with somebody, and they go do what they want to do. Yeah. And so the reason why I bring all this up is like, you shouldn't be doing like protests and stuff in uniform, but as a human being, expressing how you think and how you feel is an innate human right, as we have in the Constitution. Yeah. And to say, oh, you can't criticize your commander-in-chief, you can't criticize your company commander, or you can't criticize your whatever, however high in the echelon they are, that's very, very reminiscent of don't talk shit about the queen. Yeah. Don't talk shit about the king, the nobles, you know what I mean? And it's like we're becoming, it's like the rattlesnake that eats its own tail. Yeah. It's almost like we're falling back into what we were running away from.
Yeah. And it's safe to say that, you can't, blatantly talk shit about, your leaders, but if you're saying it in a safe way, yeah. I think that should be okay. I don't think you should be, especially when you're putting it on social media to make a point, as everybody does. That's the reason they go on social media, is to make a point. Yeah,
it's no longer I'm getting a hot dog and going to the movies. It's here's how I feel about the president.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think you should be getting in trouble for that, especially if you're saying it in a safe way. You're not talking crazy shit about someone, but that time's passed. We're limited to what we can say as a service member, and that's fine with me. I've crossed that path. Yeah.
So you actually. Like, you feel it's become like that now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And then not even that, but to top it off, the people that are running these
bring the mic a little closer.
The people that are running.
Yeah, feel free to fuck with it, dude. It's real sturdy. Feel free to fuck with it.
I tend to get over aggressive. But no, I think the people that are even running the social media platforms limit what you say too, on top of everything else. So I mean, it's not even fair, dude. It's not fair. So you got to pick and choose what you're gonna say. If you do post something, it gets taken off. I can't tell you how many times I've posted something and they send me a message, they flag my shit, and they're like, well, we can't post it until we review it. Okay, go ahead, review it. I don't care.
Right.
They end up putting it back on, of course. So, but that's just what it is as a service member. I don't post crazy shit anymore. I still try to stay away from the political side of things, but just every day is something new under this administration. I don't want to talk down to anything or anybody anymore. But
no, it's a fact, and it was the same thing under Trump.
Yeah.
Like it was a brand new thing under him. He was tweeting at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
like and you didn't know what you were gonna get from that guy.
Yeah.
And because you're very open and you're very proud of your service and you're very like to say you're outspoken about it sounds like a negative thing, but like no, you're outspoken about it. You're jovial about it. You put it out there. You advertised your company, and obviously that's born and bred out of the military.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the people, whether it's people closest to you or maybe just people who think they're closest to you because they have you as a friend on Facebook, like, do you feel like these people almost expect you to like, oh, he's in the military. He's got infantry tattooed on his arm. He's a Republican. He likes guns. You hate Biden, don't you? Like, don't they expect? Do you feel like they expect you to say something kind of like incendiary or to have a hot take or to have a super like conservative mindset?
Yeah. So again, in a personal sense, when I'm out and about in public, I try to stay away from the politics. Unless it comes up and they want to talk about it, I will talk about it. I'll express my opinions, but I'm not the first one to spark a conversation like, hey, this is how things should be, or this is how it's gonna go, or this is what I think. I don't do any of that. If they want to come to me and talk to me about it, I do. But as far as them expecting me to talk about something, I mean, like you said, I got the infantry tattoo. I mean, I'm always fucking decked out in military gear. You could call me whatever you want. These people sometimes, I got friends in the military that talk shit like, oh, you're one of those guys.
The bro vet?
Yeah. It's like, that's cool, man. You don't know how fucking hard I work to get into the military, so I'm going to express myself the way I want to. So that's fine with me. It doesn't affect me. But as far as them expecting for me to be some way, I think they do, because, I mean, it's all over me. It's printed all over me. But again, I'm not the first one to go out and be a fucking dick about it and be like, yeah, this is how it should be, or because I'm in the military, you're going to treat me this way, or I think this Trump should come back and do this and that. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm fair with it. I'm fair game with everybody.
Yeah, and you mentioned a little earlier that you went to Africa.
Yeah.
When did that happen, and how was that?
Africa was interesting. That was my first deployment. I had just come back from basic training. So 2019, October, I think that's when we took off. So 2019, we took off to, we mobbed in Fort Bliss for about a month, and then we headed to Africa for about 9-10 months, if I remember correctly. It had its ups and downs. To have the experience of deploying was fun. But actually, the mission itself, it was a security mission, so that's the part that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
I wasn't too into it. I wanted to do some high-speed shit and, fuck around, but, it was safe. We all came back home, so I'm satisfied with that. But the experience of having the deployment under my belt so early in my career, my military career, definitely set some stone for me, so.
Yeah. And so that first section of it, I think there's two important things. Well, first of all, what was that first October portion? And then 19, which means it rolled into 20, which means that you were deployed during COVID.
During COVID.
So we'll get to that for sure, because that bonkers,
Yeah.
I'm sure. But so what was that first, like, because again, this is your first time deploying. This was your first experience. Was this your first time out of the country? The podcast is brought to you by one of our brand new sponsors, Bucked Up Nutrition. Look, it's no secret that I love going to the gym. Fitness and nutrition is a huge part of my life. And Bucked Up has partnered up with the podcast, help support it. I cannot be more excited. This is one of my favorite pre-workouts. It's a high stimulant nootropic. I'm hitting PRs today, so I cannot wait to use this. The Banff Black by Bucked Up Nutrition. They've also got, as you can see, some awesome clothing here. With my t-shirts, I personally prefer the low short logo here. Use our promo code at checkout, OKPod20, to get 20% off of awesome clothes, supplements, all their products here to include their stacks. That's OKPod20, another awesome stringer here for an additional discount at checkout.
That was, yeah.
Like completely out of the country?
Yeah. I don't know if you count going to Mexico, but I've been to Mexico plenty of times as a kid, but actual overseas, yeah.
Yeah, so first time leaving the country, it's a deployment, and then, so what was that first month like for you?
First month out of country.
First month, like getting ready. You're saying down in Fort Bliss.
Yeah, so getting ready, moving for Fort Bliss, just prepping up, getting our gear, make sure everything's set, weapons, plates, everything, all our gear and shit. So it was okay. A month in Fort Bliss, we got to, we had our barracks down there. We had a little MWR, which is a little rec center for us. We had a DFAC, which is our cafeteria. It was cherry. There was no complaints about mobbing. And then actually flying out, we did a commercial flight, which I think was around, it was like 20-hour flight. Yeah, it was about a 20-hour flight, almost a whole day. That sucked. It fucking sucked, dude. It was worse coming back because we were in a C-130.
Okay.
So that one sucked even more. But yeah, mobbing, the first month was fine. I was cool with it. It was a little hot, but whatever.
What was the family prep like? Because I couldn't even, So what was that? You were married at this point.
Yes.
And you got a kid. You got a kid, right?
2 kids.
You have 2 kids. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Just mentally prepping for that? I mean, emotionally or spiritually prepping for that? So that's a very unique experience.
Yeah, it is. It was rough, being our first deployment. So by that time, I've already gone through a few ATs, which is our annual training once a year, but that's only like 2.5 weeks. It was nothing compared to 10 months. So, I spent as much time as I could with my kids, with my wife, did as much as we could. I had to mentally prepare my kids for that. They were still young, a year and 3 years, I think they were at the time. A year and 4 years. But just prepping them for that, I don't think they understand it. They didn't understand what was going to happen, what was coming. But I bought them a couple daddy dolls. I don't even know what that is, but...
Oh, no idea.
They're little self-image, so you take a picture, you send it to a website, and they make a little doll out of you.
Oh, that's cool.
In uniform. You're in uniform, and you get a little voice recording.
Oh, that's sweet.
Say whatever you want. I love you, son. I love you, daughter. And you put it inside the doll, and they squeeze it, hug it, sleep with it, whatever. Take it,
that's sweet.
So I bought them each a daddy doll.
Yeah.
But I don't think it affected them that much just because they were kids and they weren't processing what was going on. They just knew that daddy was away for a while.
Yeah.
My wife, on the other side, she took it pretty hard, being independent in the sense that she had to take care of the kids more by herself than, she had help. She had her parents, my mom, all that, but just running the household, going to work, I think that was pretty rough for her, but we made the best of it, over the deployment. Good thing we had Wi-Fi out there. Shitty service, but still, it was something.
Yeah.
It could have been worse, but being able to talk to the kids while overseas was a big thing for them and for my wife as well. So,
well, I mean, I'd imagine for you too. I mean, you're experiencing this as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, it helped. I coped with it. And it was a good experience. Like I said, I took it under my belt. And there's probably many more deployments to come, who knows, but at least we know now what the mind frame is and how we prep for it, and the kids will be older, so we'll be able to prepare them for that a little more in the future.
And so, like, looking back at that first section of deployment, what would you, if you could go back, was there any advice you would give yourself to, like, maybe prep better, do more of this, do less of this, whether it's, like, in the military side of it or if it's, like, in the familial side of it? Is there anything you would go back and change? Or do you think it was best case scenario?
No, going into it, man, leadership has a lot to do with how you take things in the military. Now, that leadership's going to be either turn you in a good path or a bad path in the military, depending on who it is. So for me, I didn't have the greatest leadership, so I didn't have the greatest preparation for it. They were just like, here, take this, here, take that, and this is what you're going to do. You know, it wasn't really hands-on or in depth of the explanation of what's going to happen and how we're going to do things. Now, who it was that gave the shitty leadership, you know, chain of command, I don't know who that's going to be up to. But as far as direct leadership, who I was under, it wasn't the best. So I think I just went in head first, took it how I took it, and I just rolled with it. It wasn't a bad deployment at all. Again, the leadership takes toll on your guys, so I try to avoid that as much as I could, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. I mean, being that you're a part of a National Guard unit, I would imagine that most of the younger guys, or the lower enlisted guys, that's their first time deploying, let alone leaving the country.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big like responsibility to take. I mean, leadership, as the higher you go, obviously the responsibility you get, but that's just a whole other added layer.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure how you prepare for that.
Yeah.
On a social level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get through Bliss, you actually get in there, and you said you went to Djibouti, Africa.
Yes.
So what was that? Let's go like for the first 24 hours.
So we get there. We stepped off the fucking plane, dude. It was hot. That humidity just hit you right in the fucking face, man. It was you can't forget it. We got there. I don't know. They voluntold some of us to stay back and unload the plane. So I was one of the guys that got told. So a lot of the guys headed to the Camp Lemonnier, which is a Navy base. I think it's the largest Navy base in the world. Some of the guys that didn't get voluntold to do all that shit just headed straight to the base and got their barracks set and all that shit.
They're fuck this. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, dude. I was like, fuck, dude. So about 20 of us stayed back, unloaded the plane, sweating balls already, dude. It was hot, man. As soon as we got there, we all carried our bags. We each had like 3 or 4 bags each. Headed to Camp Lemonnier. The locals out there, man. It was weird, man. They don't really speak English out there. But they took us in their little cabs or whatever, vans. I don't know what you want to call them. They're like little cab vans. They shuttled us to Camp Lemonnier. It took another hour to process, man. For in processing, we had to get our keys, where were we gonna stay, how the base looked, the layout, everything. They gave us fucking presentations, all this dumb shit, man. I'm like, dude, let's just unpack our bags and go to fucking bed, dude.
Sounds like orientation at college.
Oh, dude. Yeah, so yeah, that was that. That was about the first 24 hours, and then they wanted us to get up like. By the time we went to bed, we only got like 2 hours of sleep, dude, because we had to get up and do some dumb shit, man. More dumb shit. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. 2 hours of sleep. Why not? And we just basically went through a whole bunch of orientations the first fucking day. That was really it. There was nothing special about it other than getting our barracks, getting the layout, going to see the base, seeing what was where were we going to work out, where were we going to eat, all that shit. So.
And how long do you feel like if it took for you guys from... You're in your barracks, you're going through these orientations, these death by PowerPoints. How long do you feel like it took for you guys to get like settled into a routine, settled into like, all right, like, because there's a amount of resistance whenever you're doing anything new, going somewhere new for an extended period of time, the body, the mind naturally resists.
Yeah.
For a very select few people, it doesn't. But for a lot of people, it's like, okay, I don't want to be here. I want to go home. This is bullshit. What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
So going halfway across the world to a severely impoverished country, how long do you feel like it took for you guys to get past that initial resistance period into like, all right, this is life. This is what things are going to be like for the next almost a year?
So I would say that happened when we first headed out to Shabelle Airfield, which was our mission specifically. Once we got settled in, I think we stayed a couple nights at Camp Lemonnier, and that was only where we were going to stay for our off days, our rest days. So once the schedule got established of what we were going to do and where we're going to go and how long we're going to be there, that's when the realization hit, like, oh, okay, we're here in fucking Africa. This is what we're doing. So what our schedule was for us specifically, our squad, our platoon, was that we were going to head to Shabelle Airfield, which is about a 45-minute drive outside of Camp Lemonnier. And there's no roads out there. It's all fucking dirt and paved fucking roads. There's no cement, nothing like that.
Right.
So we traveled 45 minutes out of base to Shibeli Airfield, which is a little tiny airfield, about 6 mile radius, I think. And we would stay out there for a period of 10 days for day shifts, and we'd sleep there for 10 days. And then once that 10th day was over, we headed over back to Camp Lemonnier for our 5 rest days. So we get our 5 recoup days, do our laundry, do all this shit. And then for our next 10-day shift, we'd switch to graveyard shifts to Shibeli. And then we do our 10 graveyards at Shibeli, and then we go back to Camp Lemonnier for a reset of 5 days again. That was just the same chain for the whole 9-10 months. Back and forth, back and forth. Shibeli sucked because you didn't have anything over there, man. They had a rec center, but it sucked. The DFAC, you only had like shitty food, man. Camp Lemonnier is where it was at. They had a nice fucking gym. They had a nice cafeteria. The barracks, there was nothing special, but that's what it is. What else? What else was special about that? Yeah, it was just Shibeli sucked, man. And then specifically, we were just guarding towers around it. Nothing special about that. But that was our mission for the whole 9-10 months. It was just going back and forth for the 5 rest days, and then 10 days, and then 5 rest days, 10 graves, back and forth.
And you bring up an interesting detail, but the fact that when you're when you're transporting, there's no roads, there's no pavement, and the level of poverty in a country like that is bananas, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What I imagine it's going to be a big thing you pull out of that experience going to a third world country.
Yeah.
Like people complain. Her and I were just having this conversation, I think like 2 nights ago, with people complain and they bitch and they moan and they scream oppression and they scream, oh, my life is horrible here in America.
No,
like don't get me wrong, we're not perfect here. There are groups of people here that have it a lot worse than others, and there's a lot of injustices in this country. I mean, you can't really, argue against that. However, not to be a dick, but I would rather be homeless here than homeless in Africa.
Yeah.
Because especially where you went.
Yeah.
Everyone is homeless there.
Yeah.
Like everyone. I'd imagine except for like the government and then you guys.
Yeah.
Everyone is homeless.
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, it's definitely fair to say that. It opened my eyes personally, not to take things for granted, because that, looking at the traveling back and forth from Camp Lemonade to Shibeli, dude, all the fucking homemade camps that you see is nothing compared to what these guys have. They got fucking tents here and shit. They could get running water. They have cell phones here, for fucking crying out loud. The homeless have cell phones. They can fucking, if you don't have cash on you, they're gonna fucking pull up Cash App on their fucking phone. You know what I mean?
They've done that to me. I've been at a fucking stoplight. I swear to you, I've been at a stoplight. And I was like, no, because I don't carry cash. Like, I legitimately don't carry cash.
Yeah.
Because why would you in Albuquerque? Let's be real.
Yep.
And he was like, no, man, it's cool. I got Cash App. I'm like, you have Cash App, my dude? You need an email for Cash App. You have an email?
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, that just goes to show that, you can't take things for granted. But it was an eye-opener over there, dude. Just seeing all the, it's like you see on TV, man, and all the fucking movies you see. Those kids chasing you for water and shit like that. That's what they were doing out there, man. They're taking showers in fucking rain puddles and shit like that, like dirty ass river water, man. It's an eye opener, dude. And I took pictures, man. And I brought it back to my kids, and I said, hey, look how fucking blessed we are. Like, don't take anything for granted here, because given the situation of people being homeless here, it could be worse. You could be out there with these guys. I flipped through the pictures and I said, you could be these guys right here. So don't take shit for granted. Appreciate what you have. Don't ask for extra shit. That's just how it is.
I think about that when I have my like weekly or bi-weekly existential crisis. I think about how weird of a lottery it is to be born in America.
Yeah.
It is so weird. We could have been born at any time, anywhere, doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have been born into some kind of royalty or some kind of like kingship or whatever in like the dark ages. We could have been in the future with all the Elon Musk chips and the cyborgs, and we could have lived Terminator.
Yeah.
But in the time that we're in, I know, and I forget what I used to know offhand what the like actual statistic was. The one out of however quadrillion it is to be you. But we're here in America,
Yeah.
and we're not in like Djibouti, Africa.
Yeah, dude.
We're not in the impoverished parts of like Venezuela or anything like that. Lord forbid you're a slave in North Korea,
Yeah.
where there is a legitimate Holocaust going on right now
Yeah.
that people just aren't really acknowledging.
Yeah.
I just think that's bananas to me.
I've
you
had
know?
that epiphany before, man. That's hit me before, man. The same, it hits you more often than me, but yeah, dude, I've thought about that shit, dude, and I'm actually firstborn generation here in the United States, so
Okay.
I'm pretty blessed, dude. Like, my parents were both born in Mexico,
Okay.
so they came over the border back in the day, and they got their citizenship, and I was actually the first in a family to be born in the States, so I'm pretty grateful for that, man. So to be in the military even surmises what I've already done at this point to get in.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, but my sister is a Marine. So shout out to my sister Whitney. She's a Marine too. She enlisted a year before I did.
Oh shit.
So for us to be firstborn generation and to join the military as siblings is pretty fucking mind blowing for us. So
No, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we're grateful for being in this time frame, being born in the States, and having the opportunities that we have to do what we do.
And in going back to your deployment and your experience, when did that hit you? When it was like we are in a third world country. Like this isn't just like a vacation or like a new training scenario. Like we are in not only a third world country, we're technically in a war zone.
Yeah.
Because I don't. To say you love reading about terrorism is a really weird thing, but like I love reading about like current events and like what's going on and trying to keep up with all that.
Yeah.
And the dudes that were running around there, like they aren't as big and organized as ISIS, but they're no joke either.
Yeah.
So to be in when did that hit you? When you're like, I'm in a third world country, I'm in a war zone. This isn't like, oh, I'm driving down Martin Luther King Drive and I can lock my doors. Like, no, this is a legitimate threat.
I think that that had to be our first trip to Shabelle Airfield when we took that first little shuttle to work for a mission. And that was the whole purpose of our mission. Our whole purpose of us going out there was a security mission to defend that air base against this certain terrorist organization that was out there with minimal activity. So we were there to secure that specific airfield. But that realization came when our first shuttle trip to Shabelle Airfield. Looking at the roads, there's no, all the homeless people out there, if you want to call them homeless. I don't know what you would call that. Because everybody's
just severely impoverished.
It's just normal life out there.
Yeah.
But seeing all the kids out there chasing us for water, asking us for food, that first trip, and I think that was about 3 days in landing in Djibouti. I think our third day in when we headed out to Shabelle is when I realized it. Like, holy fuck, dude. And not only that, but again, thank God we all got home safe and nobody got hurt or injured. We always had to keep an eye open because you didn't know who the fuck was gonna roll up on you, because we rolled in convoys, and because there's no roads out there, you had the locals out there driving like fucking maniacs, dude. They were driving wherever the hell they wanted, but you've seen shows and movies, man. You don't know if a terrorist just gonna come up and roll up on you with a fucking VBID, like
Yeah.
you don't know if there's an IED on the fucking road. So that was the only main factor that, of traveling back and forth, that I was like, okay, don't be complacent. Keep your fucking eyes open. Keep your ears sound. Just look out for anything suspicious. But
Did you ever feel that? Because I was about to bring it up, so it's good that you said it about complacency.
yeah.
Did you ever feel that spreading among you guys, spreading among ranks? Did you ever feel like that was becoming an issue, or did it ever become an issue?
Definitely.
I'd imagine it's tough not to if you're sitting, because for what you've described,
Yeah.
if you're sitting in guard towers all day
Yeah.
and
yeah.
it's low activity,
Yeah. So we
I
had
mean,
12-hour shifts out there
there
during
you
the
go.
mission.
12-hour shifts here are tough.
Yeah, dude, no shit. 12-hour shifts, man, of just guarding towers is a fucking rough one, especially the graveyard parts, because you only get 5 rest days to adjust your schedule to go back to fucking days. And then you come back again and readjust for graves. So it was a rough 10 graveyard shifts, you know. But I would say, yeah, to answer your question, a lot of people did get complacent, man. And I'm not gonna lie, I myself did a few days, you know, there's here and there where, you know, you're gonna let loose a little bit. But for the most part, dude, I stayed on top of my game. I was trying to impress my leadership. Again, that goes back to the leadership of the ones that I had. I wanted to impress them as best as I could. I wanted to show them that I'm not just here for a 4-year fucking contract. And I wanted to maintain that throughout my whole career. So I did what I could. I stayed for extra hours if I had to. I volunteered for extra shit. That's what I had to do. But as far as other people getting complacent, it happened a lot, man. People just didn't give a shit a couple months in, dude.
Yeah.
And we had 9-10 months out there. So that's the slack you got to pick up personally.
Does that ever worry you?
It does, man. It does. And that's, we could talk about this later, but again, going back to leadership, man, that's what it all comes down to in the military, dude. And although I'm not in a leadership position myself, I think we all have leaders within ourselves, no matter what position or rank you are.
You guys set an example.
Yeah. So I don't want to, and on the other point, I don't want to be someone who thinks they're all fucking top shit. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, look at this specialist. He thinks he's a fucking staff sergeant. I don't want to be that guy either. I don't want to be making demands and shit, but I try to pinpoint hot topics to keep other people from being complacent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, people get complacent out there, but you just got to send them reminders, man. Just like, hey, dude, we got a few months left. Let's just fucking roll through. Let's just roll through this, man. It's rough, but I'm going through it. You're going through it too. So, you know.
So you get through the 9 to 10 months that you're out there. But I'd imagine, because you said you had a month from October to November, you're there in November, so November to December, January, February, March. So right smack in the middle of your deployment,
Yeah.
COVID hits.
Fucking COVID, dude.
So what was that like? Because you guys, I mean, not only are you halfway across the world, but you do have internet service. You're on social media. You see what's going on around the world, just like anybody else is.
Yeah.
But you're still like attached to America because you're obviously a part of the military. But you're not there.
Yeah.
But then you're still affected because you're DOD.
Yeah.
And then but then you're in this like weird bubble.
Yeah, dude.
So what was that like watching like the first reports come? Let's start there. Like the first reports coming out. What did you guys think about that?
So yeah, that was March. And we all thought it was a fucking joke, dude. Dude.
Thank you for being honest.
Shit, bro. So we thought, it was a joke, and we're like, whatever, dude. It's let's see how far this goes. So we started seeing it on the news. I specifically remember I was eating food at Camp Lemonnier. They had TVs all over the place. I was eating my breakfast, dude. I specifically remember the first fucking time I saw this shit. It was I forgot what news station it was, but we saw it on the news, and I was like, okay, coronavirus 19, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, okay, so how does this differ from all the other shit we've had? So I left it at that, man. I started talking to my wife, and of course it took toll in America than over there, because I was talking to my wife, and she's like, yeah, they're making up all these rules and shit. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, they started with the mask thing. I'm like, oh, okay, so you got to wear a mask or whatever. Like, yeah, now they won't let us go. As I talked to her throughout the weeks, she's like, yeah, now they won't let us go to the stores. Oh, now they're talking about maybe us getting shots. And I'm like, what the hell is going on over there? And I couldn't fathom, what she was telling me. So as I saw it on the news, I was putting one and one together. I'm like, okay, they're really fucking doing this. Like, they're really doing this. So it didn't affect us in Africa until I think a few months in, or March, April, May. I would say a couple months after March. That's when they started playing fuck games over there in Africa during our mission. Then they started telling us, hey, now you guys got to wear masks. I'm like, really, dude?
Oh, my God. What the fuck?
So that happened, man. And it started getting stupid, man. They're like, yeah, they shut. Oh, dude, that was the worst part. So I explained all the extracurricular activities that we had out there in Camp Lemonade, the rec center, all the shit. We were allotted 2 beers a night on our rest days. Um, there's a little club, like a club if you want to call it, a little dancing bar kind of deal at Camp Lemonade. Bro, they shut everything down, dude. Every fucking thing they shut down when they started making us wear masks. We couldn't have our beers anymore. They shut down the fucking clubs, the rec centers. They shut everything down. They shut the fucking gyms down. They shut the barbershops down for a little while. So we had some wild hair there for a little bit.
In the dead of summer, you've got
Dude,
long hair.
bro, yeah, dude, they shut everything down, and we're out there deployed, man. Like, we gotta have our fucking fun out there, dude. And they took all that away from us, man. And to top it off, they made us put the fucking mask on, the whole 6 feet apart kind of deal. Um, it was just they got stupid with it out there, man. And we just couldn't wait to get back home after that. But once we did return home, we realized that it was even worse over here because it was fucking ghost town when we returned from deployment. It was August 2020. Yeah, about August 2020, we came home, and then I was like, holy fuck, this is real. Like, there's nobody out shopping. There's nobody driving the fucking streets. I don't know if the shots were required then. I don't think they were.
No, that wasn't until the beginning of last year.
Okay, yeah. So I saw everybody with masks when I did go out. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, dude? And from the beginning of this whole pandemic shit, dude, I was totally against it for obvious reasons. But I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in trouble for not wearing the mask, dude.
Yeah.
Whether it be for work, for military, or any personal reasons, dude. I'm one of the many to get criticized for it, but I'm fine with it. You know, that's.
So obviously, it had a ridiculous social impact on you guys.
Yeah.
It's taking away, like you said, your leisure, anything you had to do over there. It sounds like the blow off steam is gone.
Yeah.
From your point of view, because being at the bottom levels, you're the ones that get affected by poor and great logistical planning across the board. You get affected the most.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like all these, whether it was like, obviously like the mask, that's just uncomfortable. It adds to the discomfort.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like social distancing and like weird COVID regulations, I mean, did you guys have quarantines over there?
Yeah. So
how does that affect like your mission logistically, did you feel?
So quarantine, from what I remember, the people who were, because we had minimal cases out there.
I would imagine.
They were making us wear masks before there was even cases out there. But I think the cases started happening when people were coming from the United States to Camp Lemonade, because that's the world's largest Navy base. Everybody's fucking going over there.
Right. So they were still like doing military flights in and out.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
they were.
Interesting.
Yeah, so someone had caught a case and brought it into Camp Lemonade. So
like, oh, fuck.
That's what happened,
Ruined
dude.
it for everybody.
They ruined it for everybody, so they shut everything down. As far as I remember, dude, I don't think there was even many cases to begin with. They kept it down to a minimal. But that's what happened. Someone caught a case, and then they just took precautions and shut everything down. And we were left with our fucking sucking our thumbs, dude, for the rest of that time. And it sucked, dude. It sucked not having any of those extracurricular activities, the social distancing. Oh, the quarantine. That's what you asked. So the people who were catching the cases, I think they got sent to a set. They made a certain little part of the base specifically for people who caught the cases. And I think at that time, if you got it, you had to be quarantined for 2 weeks at that time, I think, when it first started. It was 14 days. Yeah, it was 14 days. So they kept you in that little section. You couldn't do anything for 14 days. You had to stay in that section. They brought you your food. You couldn't leave. You had your own little laundry and shit and toilet and all that shit there at that section. But you couldn't leave out of that quarantine section. Wow. Yeah. So that's what I remember for quarantine during deployment. When we got back, we had to quarantine. And that sucked too, man. Because we were quarantined for, again, 2 weeks. And we stayed in, we went
like back in the States, right?
Yeah, we went back to Fort Bliss to demob. And then that's when we saw everybody wearing masks and shit. It's just so weird, dude. And we had...
What happens, like, sorry to, like, sidetrack, but, like, mentally speaking, like, what goes through your head? Because the America you left is not the one you came back to.
Exactly.
So how did you guys, like, mentally start to digest that and process that?
So, because... So it didn't really affect me until we got released from demob. So we came back, we demobbed, which is demobilization. We unpacked all our shit, we returned our gear, made sure everything was good to go. And we were quarantined for the 2 weeks before we can even do any of that. But for me, it didn't affect me until we got released from all that. And that was late August when I finally returned to my family. So they picked me up at Fort Bliss and we started driving home. And that's when I started seeing everything, because when you're on base, you're not in public, technically speaking.
Right.
You don't see everybody, all civilians and shit like that. You're doing military shit. But when my family picked me up and we went to the hotel, that's when I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, this is real, dude. Like, everybody's really taking this shit seriously. Like, everybody's masked up. Everybody's doing the social distancing. There's signs everywhere. Either mask up or get the fuck away from me kind of deal. And that's when I was like, dude, come on, man. So I think if I remember correctly, I had a month off before I had to return to work. And because everything was shut down, I mean, I'm grateful to have my family, dude. I spent a lot of time with my family post-deployment. So I didn't really fuss too much about going out and eating at restaurants or going clubbing and shit like that. So I stayed home a lot with my kids and my wife because everything was shut down, dude. So mentally, I was processing it okay because I had my family at home and we were doing family things at home. You know, watching movies, playing games, reading books, playing in the backyard kind of deal. I wasn't really affiliating with the public anyway to begin with.
Yeah.
And then when work started, my civilian job, they said, yo, you got to work from home. So that fucked me up. I didn't last there long after that. But yeah, it didn't affect me on a big toll as far as mentally. It didn't affect me too much, dude.
Yeah.
I was just trying to stay away from the public anyway. So
Yeah. Well, it was weird because I remember when it all started happening, and whenever COVID comes up, I always pose this question, and everyone tends to have like whether or not the answer is the same, a viewpoint that differs. You know, I think about as the pandemic unfolded and everything that was going on socially, right? Yeah, we had the masking, the social distancing, and watching the cases skyrocket is scary to some people, and I understand that.
Yeah.
You know, because especially in the beginning, like when we were in that first 3 to 4 months, you don't know how deadly it is yet. We don't know what it's going to do, how it's going to evolve, that kind of thing.
Right.
And you're seeing just inside 2 months, like almost 1 million cases. A month after, 3 million cases. And you're just kind of, you're snowballing. You know, but then in like I think the beginning of June, maybe end of May, beginning of June, the George Floyd incident happens.
Oh yeah.
And then all the riots kick off, like not just in America, but across the world. These riots kick off.
Yeah.
And I always think about how much different the pandemic would have been if George Floyd never died.
Yeah.
Or if none of that ever happened. So was that weird, like still being overseas, but watching America burn?
Yeah, dude.
Like, because you're just watching it through Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did that like kind of startle you guys at all?
Yeah, it pissed me off, dude. It pissed me off that I couldn't be home with my family during that fucking rough time, especially for them, because it affected them more than us.
Yeah.
But it pissed me off pretty bad, man. And then the fact that they had everything shut down, and then when that incident happened with George Floyd, the stage just went crazy, dude. And it was just like, okay, there's no more pandemic because everybody's out and about fucking rioting and shit like that. There's just rules temporarily disbanded for this moment in time.
You know, you see, and what's weird about that, I just conservatively saying weird, is because like you say that in public, and people are like, oh, but they were writing for their rights. It's like, okay, fine, fair. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's very strange to hear politicians say, you know what? You can't go to stores, you can't go to movie theaters, no concerts, no gathering.
Yeah.
Unless, like, this is straight from like the mayor of Los Angeles. Unless you are rioting for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, like, I'm all for letting people protest, but I'm also not really for favoritism either.
Yeah.
Like, do you think they have a magic bubble around them that's stopping the vid? Like,
That seems to be their logic, man. It's...
Like, it was just weird to see that, or to see the, who was it? The mayor of Seattle or something like that saying, well, maybe this will be like the summer of love. Or maybe that was LA too. I forget who it was. But all the crazy shit tended to happen in Southern California, Oregon, Washington, and then New York. All the crazy shit.
Yeah.
And one thing I remember watching that was out of the States, I remember because Italy got fucked up pretty bad.
Yeah.
Because like the culture of Italy, I mean, the dad, the mom, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, the grandma, everyone's living together. So they got fucked up.
Yeah.
But then like Spain, like I remember watching these videos. I've tried. You can't find them now, but I swear. I remember seeing these videos of these paramedics zipping up alive old people in body bags that they thought were infected, just zipping them up in body bags. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Shit got dumb, dude.
Yeah.
Shit got dumb.
It got scary.
Yeah.
It got real scary. And then they, during the riots, the mayor of Portland in the apartment building he lived in. Did you hear about this?
No.
So he was in the apartment building he lived in. He was very outspoken and supportive of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
But because he was the mayor, the Black Lives Matter rally came to his apartment building and tried to burn it down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I heard about that.
Wild.
Wow.
Absolutely insane.
Damn, dude.
So yeah, I'd imagine that would be tough to see all this crazy shit going on. I'm surprised that worse things didn't happen in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
To be frank. I'm shocked.
No shit, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure if something happened like that again, it'd be a different story now. Now that we're a few years into a new administration, things have happened, whatever's happened. It's a snowball effect. So hopefully nothing like that happens again. I mean, there's a lot of crazy shit going on right now, but that's just where we're at right now.
So being in this post-COVID world, I mean, like, it's kind of cliche to say that, but it is like a different world than it used to be in 2019.
Yeah.
Has that affected like because I feel like a lot of people, especially in the military community, they have a very disdained view on the United States now. Has that ever changed for you? Has that ever been altered? Have you questioned things like, why am I still in the military? Am I doing the right thing? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
Those are very good questions, bro. And I do think about that. I ask myself that every day, dude, to be honest with you. And, you know, when we enlist to defend the Constitution of the United States. That's where it's at. So everybody has their rights. Everybody has the right to express themselves, whatever, dude. I'm all for it. It's just that when they try to force rules upon us and not them, that's when it kind of bugs me. But in the long run, I think to myself, well, I signed up to defend the Constitution of the United States. So whatever happens. I'm just there for it. Again, I just don't like them telling us that we're supposed to do this and that. Like, for example, dude, the fucking vaccines for us. When they made us get the damn vaccines, that fucking pissed me off, man. Because although a lot of us, and props to the people who stuck with their religious exemptions, dude, because that's the boat I was gonna hop on, a religious exemption. And this goes back to my story of me enlisting, man. I tried so fucking hard to get into the military, and to have them say, well, if you don't get the vaccine, you're gonna get kicked out. I wanted to use a religious exemption to keep me in the military. I didn't want to get kicked out. But when they said, fuck your religious exemption, I was like, okay, all right, dude, just give me the fucking vaccine. I've fought way too hard to get to this point in my life. I'm not just going to let 4 years slip by. I'm 4 years fresh into my military career. Can't let that throw away. Just over a fucking shot. Just give it to me, dude. I got 16 more years ahead of me.
Yeah.
So that's what pissed me off. But to go around your question, man, yeah, it's to think about that every single day, that under the administration that we're at and all the fucking shit that we're going through as service members, I just feel bad for our service members, man. Like, the shit that we have to go through to remain where we're at right now, and all the shit we're going through, the pullout in Afghanistan, that affected a lot of veterans, dude. That fucking 20 years worth of fucking war just thrown out the drain, dude. And you know, a lot of people have their opinions whether we should have or not, but look how many vets it affected, dude. Like, look, the suicide went fucking spiked after that shit, dude.
After, you know, COVID had already made it spike.
On top of COVID, dude. So, I don't like some of the decisions that they're making that affect us service members, but I try to stick it out, man. I try to stick it out. Just put up with the bullshit and just take it in the fucking chin and you keep going, man. That's how I look at it.
I mean, that seems to be one of the only ways you can go and still keep your sanity.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I like keeping up with current events, seeing what's going on, and no matter how, higher up they are than the civilians, obviously, but watching whether it's the political leaders, the military leaders, whether it's the Secretary of Defense, the Joint Chief Staff, whatever, right?
Yeah.
The guy who's in charge of them. It's concerning when the pullout went the way it went. I don't think it could have gone worse, to be quite frank. Yeah. I don't think, I'm not a logistics expert. I'm not I don't have any experience doing that. That must have been a nightmare to even attempt that. Because I feel like if you track the history of that conflict, it's hard to call it a war. Because, the war in Iraq really ended at about 2011, 2012, when we thought we were done. Well, 2013, 2014, when we thought we were done, yanked some people out. It got worse, threw people back in, and then Obama transitioned that problem over to Trump.
Yeah.
But, once you start having that happen, that was almost like a precursor to whoever's going to decide to leave this country or leave this region, they're not going to do it well.
Yeah.
It's almost an impossible, to be fair and to give, not credit, but to be as neutral as possible in the situation. It's it would have been a shitty situation anyway. Now,
yeah,
I would have hoped that it's possible to pull out and not leave millions and tens of millions of dollars of equipment.
Yeah.
Not only just because if it's one thing to say, all right, we need to leave because who the fuck said this? I forget who said this, but they said it perfectly. It was the average American citizen who's never left the country, never really read up on current events, never really educates themselves on what's going on right now. They can't grasp the concept that some people don't want democracy.
Yeah.
Some people don't want freedoms.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a underlying fact that I saw from a lot of people that the bigger people in the military community, whether it's the people like Tim Kennedy, Jocko Willink, David Goggins, people like that who have podcasts, who are very outspoken, who give their points of view of what's going on. The common denominator just happened to be these people don't want it.
Yeah.
It's taking the horse to water and forcing it to drink. Yeah. And in the minute you walk away, they just they parch themselves.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to say, all right, we're going to leave all of our equipment to our allies. Mm-hmm. It's another thing entirely to say, we're just going to leave it and whoever got dibs.
Yeah, dude.
Taliban's got dibs. Oh, they got dibs. Okay.
Yeah.
And I spoke with a couple of people that I know that are, whether it's they've just barely gotten out of the military within the last couple of years, or they were in, the first invasion of Iraq, they were in Fallujah, they went through that whole spiel.
Yeah.
And they're they fucked it up the first time, and then now, to see that we're completely gone, we have friends over there that we know are dead, and then to see these people that we were fighting against running up and down the streets with our shit.
Yeah.
That's scary.
That was horrific to see.
And and the reason I bring all this up, and the reason I bring up the higher, the political leaders and the SecDef and all them, it's all of this happens the way it happens.
Yeah.
And it's very tragic.
Yeah.
And then they start doing their debriefs, and it's televised.
Yeah.
It's televised. They're live reactions. They're live breakdowns that they've had time to prepare. And fair to the press, one of the only times in recent memory where they're doing their jobs properly across the board, and they're asking them legitimate questions did you guys plan for this to happen? Was this the plan? To completely burn this down?
Yeah.
And their answer was, well, we thought that they could handle it, but we knew at some point it would fall apart. We just didn't know it would fall apart this quickly.
Yeah.
It's what the fuck?
Yeah.
You guys planned for it to fail.
Yeah.
Why is that ever a solution? And then another thing because we don't really talk about the pullout anymore, just because it's not a hot topic. It's not getting clicks. Let's be honest. It's not getting clicks on Facebook or Instagram anymore from the major media outlets. But it's there were Americans left over there.
Yeah.
Like, that's treason. How is that not treason?
Yeah.
Like, because in my opinion, again, I don't have any experience, not a whole lot. I have no experience. But as a commander in chief, you are responsible for everything that the military does and does not do. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the generals that are under you, the civilian leaders that are under you that control the military. You are responsible for what they do and do not do.
Yeah.
And you guys either made the decisions or allowed it to happen where you could leave it at just Americans were left and are now dead because of you.
Yeah.
And then you get into like NATO allies, Iraqis we were fighting with, Afghanis we were fighting with, and just a multitude of journalists and reporters that are from across the world that are now dead.
Yeah.
And we know this now.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Whether it would have been 10 years, 5 years, or 5 years, 2 years ago, or even further down ahead, the pullout was going to happen one way or another. But it could have been done more strategically to prevent all that. Leaving the weapons, getting our Americans killed out there. It could have been done more strategically instead of just, whatever it was they decided and they acted upon caused whatever happened, man. So I think it could have been done in a smarter way, but I'm not surprised that it turned out that way. So
and so looking at that, like, yeah, those people are so detached from you, like you're never gonna, like, realistically speaking, you're never gonna interact with them unless the happenstance, right? But in my point of view, you should be like the goal, especially now with the, like we were saying earlier, with the low retention recruiting rates. The goal should be to keep as many people in the military as possible, motivate them to move up and go do those crazy jobs. But to see like those are the people running the show, does that like make you think, well, who the fuck is like right above me then? Who is like running it at the National Guard at the state level? Who's running it? Like, does that ever worry you?
Yeah.
It's so like, these are the clowns that get moved up. These are the guys that get promoted.
Oh yeah, they say once you hit a certain rank, man, you go into politics, and it shows, dude. So, this is crazy, dude. So, if you want to move up a certain rank, I mean, and it's pretty high up there, you're eventually going to put your foot into politics, and you're going to start hanging out with those people, that certain game up there, which personally I wouldn't do myself, man. Once I had a certain rank, I'm done at that rank. But that's just the decisions that they're making, and that's the leadership that we got to go through, and that's the reason right now why the retention rate is so low, man. And then now they're coming up with these, I don't know if you saw my post a few days ago, but they're just coming up with all these crazy rules, and they're a little more lenient as far as I don't know if you saw the tattoo.
I was going to say, well, I saw the tattoos got edited.
Yeah.
And then I want to say like piercings.
I don't remember the piercings. Maybe. I know a few months back they did the hair thing, the nail polish thing, and then they just did the tattoo thing. So they're just coming. They realize that numbers are so fucking low that they're adding a little more leniency as far as keeping others or allowing others to join. But it's just those little minor things that they're doing to bring back people or to keep people. You know what I mean? And that's just shit that doesn't matter, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's shit that doesn't matter. Like, yeah, we got tattoos and shit, whatever. It doesn't affect me personally because I'm never going to get fucking tattoos on my hands or my face and neck and shit like that. But
yeah,
that's just what they're doing to keep soldiers, man. And the retention rate, they realize that the numbers are getting so low. And could you blame the numbers for being so low after what's been happening? And, the mandated vaccines, the fucking spike in the veteran suicide, all that shit. You can't be surprised at those numbers, man. You can't.
Well, and the parallel that you're making where it's like they're doing these small things that are non sequiturs, they don't matter in the big scale. Like, is it nice to have hand and face or hand and neck tattoos? I'm sure it's nice. And I'm sure it's nice to have like, especially like for service women that are African American that want to have like their dreads and not having like their hair like super. I remember that being a big topic of conversation. Like, I bet that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's not to be a dick, but like that's just such a small margin.
Yeah.
And it's like a Band-Aid solution.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if it's something like that uncomfortable for these soldiers, you should have been doing it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, why is this a problem now?
Yeah.
But the comparison you bring up echoes a lot of what I spoke with Jay Block. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
So I spoke with him beginning of last month. And it sounds like a lot like what he was talking about with our state government, where so we have the Intel plant up in Rio Rancho, and Intel was thinking about opening another plant, and it came down between New Mexico and Arizona, and they went with Arizona. And when he spoke with the Arizona governor and was like, I mean, congrats, but like, do you know why we didn't get it? The governor was like, you guys were never even in the conversation. Like, they considered you, but when they like started talking to your politicians and how they run things and how like what their priorities were, it became obvious that they didn't really care about your guys' economy.
Yeah.
They wanted to keep their jobs. They weren't looking to actually give Intel, because obviously Intel wants the benefits, right? They want the benefits of opening a plant. They want, whether it's tax breaks, they want this, that, or the other, but they didn't really care about that.
Yeah.
They were so focused on the marijuana bill and focused on the taxes problems here, that they didn't realize, because I think we would have gotten, I think he said like 16,000 jobs out of that.
Yeah. I'm
Like
sure it's up there
13
somewhere.
to 16,000 jobs with a median price being $63,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's like, to include benefits and this, that, and the other. That's insane.
Yeah.
That would have done, I mean, obviously, would it have like turned the economy around? No, but that's a better step than legalizing weed.
Yeah.
And I'm all for legal weed.
Yeah.
I love legal weed. I think that should be federally legalized, and anyone who's in prison for a nonviolent drug crime, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
Right? It's so dumb.
Yeah.
But like, there are priorities.
Yeah.
Like, you can fix weed with the executive order. You don't need to vote on that. You can just sign it into law, and then anyone, especially in today's day and age, anyone who fights against that loses their jobs.
Yeah.
Like, they loses an election. They're never going to get an election.
Yeah.
But they should have been focusing on the Intel stuff. And the way I see that in the military side, especially the way that you're describing it, is instead of focusing on hand tattoos and neck tattoos and God knows what, why are so many service members committing suicide? Why are so many reservists, like specifically reservists and guardsmen, because they're not doing the military full time, it's 1 week in a month and 2 weeks out of the summer, why are I think it's like 18% of reservists live below the poverty line?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? That shouldn't be a thing. That's absolutely insane to me.
Yeah.
But it's a thing. And
Unfortunately.
these aren't problems they're willing to fix. Like, I've got some buddies that just got out, and they were in, oh my God, it's the fucking base down in North Carolina.
An army base?
Yeah, Bragg. They're out of Fort Bragg,
Yeah.
or South Carolina, wherever the fuck
South,
that is.
Yeah.
They're one of them was in Fort Bragg, and then another one went from Fort Bragg to Fort Carson up in Colorado and got out. And they're like, yeah, I mean, Carson's neat and it's beautiful because it's Colorado, but like, the problems that they were having in one base was the same thing as the other. To completely remove the leadership problems,
Yeah.
it's this the quality of life for living on the base as a lower enlisted soldier, which I'd imagine 60-70% of the Army starts out as a private or as private to a specialist, because not everyone goes through college, becomes an officer or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the electricity doesn't work half the time. AC units barely work. Dehumidifiers down in Bragg barely work, which you need in those summers. Ridiculous. Black mold forming all over the base, getting people sick, and they're wondering like, why the fuck is this happening? Like, did you read about, I think 2 months ago, we're in July, so between May of 2022 and February of last year, there were over 130 unaccounted for deaths at Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
That they were just sweeping under the rug.
Yeah.
And it was like, where are we? And nobody's investigating it.
Yeah, dude. It's
Same thing with Fort Hood,
Yeah.
where all the soldiers were getting raped and killed
Good Lord,
by the
dude.
same dude.
Yeah.
What was it, like 6 of them? 5 of them?
Fort Hood is famous for the
Yeah.
tragedies.
Yeah,
man.
it's tragic.
Yeah, no, that's a big concern. But they're not going to address it, dude. Like you said, they're just going to sweep it under the rug because that's not their narrative at this point in time. But But that you asked me at the beginning of the podcast that if I ever thought about going active. I didn't really fully address that, but that's one of the reasons I don't go active.
Yeah.
It's crossed my mind so many times because I'm really dedicated to my craft in the military, man. I take it seriously. Again, it's just some civilians would say, "Oh, you're just a guard. You're just a weekend warrior."
Yeah.
Fuck off, you know. To me, I do take my craft seriously, man, and that's one of the reasons I named it High Speed Warrior. But to go back on point, I have thought about going active so many times, but the I don't know what you would call it. The pros and the cons.
Yeah.
The pros are definitely outweighing the cons as far as going active. I'm happy where I'm at right now in the guard than where I would be going active because I've thought about going.
So the pros of staying reservist guard outweigh the pros of going active duty.
Yeah. Sorry, thanks for clarifying. Yeah, so no, dude. As many times as I wanted to go, because I wanted to go Ranger. I'm still trying to do Ranger school. That's a different story. But just going Special Forces, dude, was something that I really wanted to do after I enlisted. But the sacrifices that I got to make and what I got to put my family through to be active duty is not worth it to me, dude. I don't want to be selfish in that aspect. And not only is it going to affect my family, but myself as well as the living conditions that you just explained. I don't want to put myself or my family through any of that. It's not worth it to me. So that's one of the reasons, one of the main factors I would not go active is because of the shit that's going on right now. And for the years that it's been going on, it's not worth it for me. So
yeah, and God, even if let's say the living conditions were as they should be, not even like above average or amazing, but just as they should be. You shouldn't have fucking black mold. Soldiers or just service members, male or female, shouldn't be afraid of being sexually assaulted or physically assaulted by their leadership or by their peers.
Yeah.
And it happens to men and women, which is, I mean, obviously it would not be better if it was just women, but like that's something that's not really talked about, I feel like. And it's both men and women that are getting assaulted one way or another.
Yeah.
But even if, like I was saying, even if their living conditions were great, I feel like there hasn't been a bigger distrust in the government right now since maybe Vietnam or going into like the couple years after 9/11. People were like, that's strange.
Yeah.
Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. That's strange. When that started going around.
Yeah.
Right? And then like what's scary to me, and it's just adding to the districts, it's one of the things that the government's been releasing, like declassifying these documents during the pandemic. The one that didn't really get swept under the rug from what I noticed was that they are acknowledging now that it wasn't just Al-Qaeda involved. Did you see that?
As far as what?
As far as 9/11 happening. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, so they declassified these documents where they're acknowledging that, yes, Al-Qaeda were the ones who physically flew the planes into the building and orchestrated that. But the people who organized the whole operation enabled Osama bin Laden to do it. Osama bin Laden wasn't shit. People need to realize that because we look back at it now and he's like the warlord of the Middle East, right? He was the guy. They made a movie about him, movies about him, and he was the guy. But he really wasn't all that much. And what enabled him and what kind of set him on the trajectory to becoming that Middle Eastern warlord was the Saudi Arabians. And at the time, we were working with the Saudi Arabians.
Yeah.
So it adds a lot of credence. I'm sure you've heard this too, and I kind of subscribe to it that like we didn't orchestrate it. I think it's a dumb argument. Say, oh, we did it. And I know, but like we knew about it. We just didn't stop it.
Yeah.
And when that gets declassified and people start having conversations like that, it just adds fuel to the fire of distrust in the government. Mm-hmm. So to stay in the military right now or to even join, to say, yeah, I want to join the military right now, a lot of people will look at you like it's silly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that in the culture?
Yeah.
Especially as everything's getting so politically divided.
Yeah, and that just goes back to the numbers, man. That's why the numbers are where they're at right now. It's just because that's the way people are thinking right now. And over the years, as you say, they're declassifying all this information and showing us what's really happening behind the scenes. And they're like, well, what's it going to benefit me then if I join? What's going to happen to me, or what's going to happen then? What's going to happen to our government? What's going to happen to me deploying? All those questions run through these people's minds. And again, I don't blame them for it. You know, it's just that's the shit that's getting thrown at us right now. But I think that we just got to fucking take it in the chin and roll with it. I'm not happy with a lot of the shit that's going on with this administration specifically. Every administration has their ups and downs, dude. That's just what it is.
And one of the last things I wanted to ask you about, just pick your brain on.
Yeah.
Because again, you clearly love the military. You love what you're doing. And kind of like we had mentioned earlier, for instance, you can't throw on a uniform and go to a protest. You can't. And then on the opposite side of that, you can't throw on a uniform and then go, how do I want to put this? Like, you can't go hype somebody up. Like, you can't go, like, be pro this politician.
Yeah.
Right? You can't go advocate for someone that you really love, and you can't go protest someone you hate while you're in uniform.
Yeah.
Right? Everything across the board for these service members is supposed to be completely uniform. You're all the same, regardless of what makes you unique or whatever as a civilian. When you're in that uniform, you're a service member. You're a Marine, you're an airman, airwoman, soldier, whatever.
Yeah.
But now, over the last couple of years, and it's been amplified under this administration, you have a lot of, like, I hate saying it's so fucking cringy, but like the wokeisms.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you have a lot of that seeping into the military. You have, like, one of the biggest ones lately, was the Army released that animated recruiting video. Did you see that?
I did.
Of the girl with the two moms.
I did.
And then right alongside that, Russia released their recruiting video. And it's fucking black and white. Like, look, man, I'm all for people living their lives. Love who you want to love. Fuck who you want to fuck. I genuinely could not care less. I could not care less.
Yeah, right.
However, when the U.S. military, the most powerful standing, specifically the most powerful standing army in the globe's history, in the history of the world, bro, when they're releasing a fucking Disney movie about someone that's specifically hammering home, hey, we love gay people. That's what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
We love the gays. Come join the military. We love the gays. Don't worry about how we're actually treating you, but, like, we love the gays, right? Mm-hmm. When that's their message, not lethality, not effectiveness, not altruism. Like, fucking, where's some American patriot? Like, why was Top Gun more American than fucking a recruiting video?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then to see that, and then you look at Russia.
Yeah, dude.
And it's like, I was bred to fight. I was bred to kill. I'm here to fuck you and fuck your whole, like, you know what I mean? Dude. Or even, like, did you see the Ukraine one that came out like a month ago?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we use our shovels to fucking dig trenches.
Yeah.
We use our shovels mean communication. If I run out of ammo, I'm going to kill you with a shovel. Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Dude, I'm speechless with all that. I don't know why, dude. Yeah, they're throwing the wokeism into the military. You can see it, and I think that's why they're throwing in these little minor changes. I mean, there's just slowly, like you said, the word seeping. They're just slowly seeping it into the military. And like I'm on the same page with you, man. Live your life. You know, if you want to be gay, that's fine. Be gay. If you want to fuck this person, that's cool. Fuck this person. But when you start throwing it into our fucking faces, like trying to feed us this shit, that's not cool, man. You don't see me trying to throw my fucking straightness into your goddamn throat. You know what I mean? Don't do it to me.
Well, because the concern that I have is, I have a problem with people making, like, that their whole identity. Because I know, I hate this argument too, where it's like, well, I have black friends, but no, like, I have gay friends, but, like, they don't make it their whole identity.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, they're like, the gay men that I know, obviously they act a bit more effeminate. Their voice is a little higher. They dress maybe a certain way. Sure, but they're not out, like, throwing it in your face. They're not out, like, and even if you are doing that, that's fine. But, like, when you start bringing that into an organization like the military, where it's all supposed to be uniform and the same, and none of you are special, Are you good at your job or are you not? That is what the military should be. And to start throwing in these weird things and start not like tainting it, but like just contorting it into something that's not supposed to be and making it about something it's not supposed to be. Do you feel that like altering mindsets? Do you feel like people have to be like, I wouldn't say like censor themselves because obviously you shouldn't be like outwardly offending people for who they are, but like, do you feel like that it's just changing the culture?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. And we'll see it in a few years, man. If not 1 or 2 years from here, we're gonna see it. And I just that's the administration right now, man. But I'm not for it, man. I don't like when they're trying to force feed us this shit. Again, live your life however you want. Just don't force it on us, man. And it's a culture change. That those little rules that they're changing for the military specifically is because of that. I mean, they're allowing males to get clear nail polish now. I think that's what it was.
What's the point?
Yeah, and they're getting.
What does that fix?
They let males get highlights in their hair. Again, I don't know how that affects you going out and killing a fucking terrorist, but
I was gonna say like, well, because that's another misconception is like the actual jobs in the military that involve combat in any sort of way.
Yeah.
That involves taking a life. Let's make it broad.
Yeah.
That involves taking life.
Yeah.
Is about 1%.
Yeah.
But the rules of the military apply to 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start putting things like, and this is something that I think gay people can't be in the infantry? No, not at all. But killing someone is a masculine trait. It requires a lot of testosterone. It requires a lot of reservations you have to throw away.
Yeah.
And it's just statistically in violent conflicts. You have outliers, of course. Like I know some women that can beat the fuck out of me. Yeah. That can just throw me around, and I'm like, don't hurt me. But like, there's a reason why, it's mostly men. Even with the infantry allowing women now, and combat arms allowing women, like there's a reason why it's mostly men fighting wars throughout history.
Yeah,
because they are going to win, and it's just I feel like when you start adding elements that can reduce the lethality of a force, even if it doesn't do it with an outcome, like even if you were to add a bunch of women into the military or add a lot of effeminate aspects into the infantry or into combat arms, even if you have a same outcome or similar outcome, to our enemies who maybe aren't as altruistic as we are, who maybe don't have the same bleeding hearts we do, they look at that and they see weakness.
Yeah.
They look at that and they say, oh, okay, well, they're softening up. We can, I don't know, invade a sovereign country.
Yeah.
No one's going to do shit about it.
That's what the countries are saying right now about those fucking commercials that we just released for our military. I mean, and look what they came back with, man. Just fucking ultra machoism. Like, hey, we're going to fucking kill you and everybody you know.
It's scary. And now because like, I really do believe personally that the reason Russia invaded Ukraine, a big reason, was because Putin knew that Biden wasn't going to do shit. Mm-hmm. Trump, on the other hand, I mean, like him or hate him, we didn't really have all that much conflict. Like what? We went 18 months without a service member dying?
Yeah.
Overseas?
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's impossible. That's not even a thing. But it happened because we were in a conflict when Trump came into office, but then he just started fucking blowing things up. Yeah. He didn't even like boost up forces. He just kept blowing things up. Like he dropped the Moab onto a patch of dirt.
He established dominance.
Just to show he could.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But it worked. And I'm afraid that like whether it's because of the military policies or it's because of the president we have and the image that America is portraying right now, we're coming up on one of our weakest points in our history, and it's concerning. Yeah, it's concerning.
Yeah, the administration's priorities are definitely not straight right now, man. I mean, the second day of Biden's office, the second day he got into office, I think the first thing he fucking did was sign something that I think it was that the transgenders can be in the military. I think that was the second day in office.
So I think it was a combined thing. It was transgenders. You can be openly transgender in the military, but then the kicker, at least for me anyway, the thing that made me concerned about it was now they can get the transitional surgery and it's covered by the military's healthcare.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's concerning.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to sound like a bigot or sound like a transphobic individual, but
Yeah.
it is an elective surgery.
Yeah.
And I'd love for someone to prove me wrong, but I've never heard of someone getting a transitional surgery to save their life.
Yeah.
I have never heard of that. Now, you could argue like, oh, they're so mentally tormented, this and the other. It's like, okay, sure. But, and here's the analogy I always use is like, because I've had a real life experience with this where like friends have come to me like, hey man, I'm going through a really bad like depressive episode, or like I've had a crippling anxiety, or just something's wrong with my brain. I don't know what's wrong with me. What do I do?
Yeah.
Sure, I hear them out and I be a friend, but like at the end of that conversation, I try to like at least encourage them to seek a professional help, seek this, that, or the other, right? A more someone who's actually trained to deal with these problems outside of just, hey, I can talk to you, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Right. I would never even dream of having that type of interaction and meeting it with, I'm so happy for you. You're depressed? Oh, let's celebrate it. Let's make that your whole personality. Let's do a surgery to where you're permanently like, you know, like that's because up until like 2020, up until 2019 or 2020, gender dysphoria was in the DSM-4, which is like the big book of illnesses.
Okay.
I think big book of like illnesses in general, but it has a whole section like mental illness, and it's gender dysphoria.
Okay.
They took it out of and when they updated to the DSM-5, they took it out completely. It is no longer a mental illness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when the scientific and medical community is now being affected by a political agenda, a social identity problem.
Yeah.
One, it's not exactly surprising that COVID was handled the way it was handled, but two, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, science and medicine, they all boil down to numbers. Numbers can't lie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so if all this data is being affected by opinions and feelings and, you know, I feel discriminated against.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it was a big toll. Again, that's it shouldn't be priority for his second day in office.
Oh, yeah. So my point here, my point bringing all this up, my point to wrap this up.
Yeah.
My point is when you're allowing a severe mental illness, because I mean, mental illness is rampant throughout the military. It's synonymous with military. Mm-hmm. You know, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it positive, but it's just a fact, right? But to like accept one of the worst mental illnesses you can have, and then because I've been medicated for depression and anxiety, and it actually helped me get out of it. Yeah. Right? Like I've been through that. Medication doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for me. It got me out of it, and I'm a mostly different person. Good. I'm still me, but like I'm just not having like these crippling thoughts, these crippling worries, right? Like that's gone thanks to medication. Yeah. But you know, I was still able to live my life even with that. But with something like gender dysphoria, if it is as crippling as it is that it leads you to a fucking surgery, maybe you should explore some options, some intense psychotherapy, some medication, something other than, I mean, this is assuming also that it's an adult going through this, because now people are allowing children to do it. Yeah. So it's like, okay, as an adult, live your life, because I also recognize people like Caitlyn Jenner or Elliot Page, who used to be Ellen Page, transitioned. They seem to be doing okay. Mm-hmm. And that's great. Like, if you have the money, the resources, the willpower, if you could take the time off work to do that, fucking live your life, you know? But the average person doesn't. Mm-hmm. The average person cannot do that, whether it's financially or practically, or to the average person. I feel like those are outliers. I don't know if the average person can handle that mentally. Yeah. Let alone a kid. Like, I'm on TRT right now. Mm-hmm. And it's helping me a bit. Because it turns out I had the fucking test levels of a 65-year-old adult. Like,
oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, so...
I do remember that.
Yeah, so it turns out I was operating as a 65-year-old man.
Yeah.
So I obviously had to get on that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm on a low dosage, very low dosage comparatively. Like maybe, I mean, granted, I compare that to like people that I know that like bodybuild and they take like high levels of test, right?
Yeah.
But then you look at like the medical doses that I'm given, and you propose to give that to an 8-year-old?
Yeah.
A 13, 14-year-old?
Yeah, man.
What the fuck are we talking? How is that not child abuse?
Yeah.
What the fuck are we talking about?
Man, they're just making up these rules, man, as we go.
It's scary.
And it's only going to get worse, dude. It's only going to get worse. Sucks to say, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's the snowball effect that we're in right now.
But it almost has to get worse, just so people can finally wake up and be like, this is bad.
Yeah.
We need to flip this around before, well, damage is already going to be done, but before this country implodes.
Yeah. And we just, some of us just got to look to 2024 to wait for things to turn around, right?
I feel like, there's a lot of buyer's remorse for people who voted for Biden.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's enough.
It's taking effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't thinking about that. They were thinking about other things.
Yeah.
While Trump was in office.
Mm-hmm.
They were thinking about short-term effects.
Yeah.
Not long-term effects. And, I voted personally for Trump, not because, I'm a Republican or a Democrat. I vote independent, but it's logical. You know what I mean? And just the mental state that Biden has been in, you could just see he's not fully there, and he's made it obvious over the years during press conferences, the debates, all this stuff. And, I don't hate the guy, but he's just not fit for office, man. And
me and her have this conversation at least once a week, because there's a new Biden video about how he's shaking hands with nobody, or he's mumbling to himself. Or did you see, like, they had a press conference in the Oval Office, and he had a cue card, and the cue card was turned the wrong way, and it said, like in big bold letters, you sit in your chair. You answer questions from this news outlet. And it's all like big bold letters telling him, like, you read your teleprompter. And it's like, if that was anybody else, quite literally anybody else, if that was a Republican, if that was Trump, the news outlets would not shut the fuck up.
They would flip their shit.
They would not shut up.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to say, like, politicians shouldn't be very old. We need term limits. I feel like that's a bipartisan thing amongst the civilians, the citizens, that we all agree on. But obviously, the people in charge are not going to put themselves out of a job.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to take a real ballsy president to get into office with his mouth or her mouth shut, and then like the first 100 days term limits, and then just like you see a mass hysteria.
Yeah.
But if like you look at these senior citizens where it's mostly accepted over the age of 65, you start thinking, can this person drive a car? Can this person operate machinery? Can this person think for themselves? Like me personally, I work in the I've bounced back and forth with different companies, whether it's all caregiving, but it's whether it's like private pay, which was like my last job, private pay for mostly senior citizens, or now it's through the state for people to developmental disabilities.
Okay.
Right. So specifically when I was working with people that were senior citizens, right, ranging from the ages of like, or people that can't really like take care of themselves, ranging from the ages of 45 all the way up to fucking 102.
Yeah.
So, but when you start looking at the people between the ages of 65 or the age of 65 and above, there is legitimate legal conversations that are happening amongst family members, guardians who often are the same, or if they can't really afford it, they hire a company that selects someone to be their guardian, right? A representative payee, a power of attorney, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Doctors even get involved. And there are conversations about, can this person, are they mentally available? Are they mentally apt to make their own decisions? That's starting at the age of 65. And Biden is about to be 80.
Yeah.
And we're watching this guy. He's like the old grandpa that you have to hold his arm when you go out in public.
Literally.
It's like, I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Personally, I can't help but feel bad for him because it's so obvious he's not making decisions.
Yeah.
Like, anyone who thinks that Biden is making decisions is you need to open your eyes and watch some TV.
Yeah.
Or just open Instagram. But he's not the one making decisions.
Yeah.
And it's just sad because they're parading him around. And what even breaks my heart a little bit too is the fact that his wife goes along with it. Mm-hmm. She's so happy. She's so happy to be the first lady and to have this bumbling bag of bones just be the president.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not exploitation of a senior citizen? You know what I mean?
It's a sad story.
It's insane.
You got through into that boat. And that's, I mentioned before we turned this on that I got in trouble for saying some stuff publicly on social media. You know, I wasn't talking down about him, but I was publicly speaking my opinion on him and the whole COVID situation. And I did get in trouble for that. But again, that's going to the beginning of the conversations where I think we should be allowed to speak what we feel as other people do too, whether we get suffer consequences for it or not. Yeah. But that's again, I don't hate the guy. I just think there should be better decisions made, especially affecting the military. But there's a lot of consequences that are being suffered right now across the states, not only for military members, but gas prices, inflation, all this dumb shit, man, that we're going through. It's affecting people, man. But hopefully it turns around soon, man, because, a lot of people are, look at the homeless population right now. I mean, it's just growing. It's growing right now. So,
well, before we get out of here, your company that you started, what's your, do you have a plan? Do you have a goal with what you want, where do you want to take it?
Yeah. So, when I started High Speed Warrior, again, it was just a little inside joke. Put myself on a sticker. When I actually established my business in August 2021, I made my mission to actually give back to veterans, law enforcement, first responders, and sometimes other various organizations. But a portion of the proceeds that people spend money on for my business go to those various organizations. My goal is to give back to them. I want to change people's lives for the better. And when I say various organizations, a few months back, I gave back to premature families, like people who have premature babies.
Right.
That's just an example. So it's not just veterans, law enforcement, first responders, it's others as well. But I want to affect people's lives in a way that I know I'm making an impact, a positive impact on, because I've been down that boat before, man. And with the veteran suicide thing and the spike in that, I want to be able to give my money and other people's money that are buying my product. I want to let them know that they're making a change as well along with me. So I'm not selfish in an aspect of me just keeping all the money. That's not what it is. I'm really doing my best, and every time someone does make a purchase, a portion of those proceeds I'm donating to charities. I'm giving back to other people in need of help, and we're in the need of help right now. Yeah. Everybody is. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're middle class, I'm giving back to everybody, dude. And another mission of mine is not only to give back financially, but mentally and physically. I'm a motivational speaker. I do it through High Speed Warrior. I'm looking to get my fitness certification so I can start changing people's lives physically.
Like a PT?
Yeah. Cool. So fitness instructor, private sessions, things like that. Because if you keep up with me, you see I'm a fucking workout freak, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. I'm none of that. Equally balanced, man. And I just want to teach people that it's okay to be where you're at, no matter what stage in life you're at. I want to change people's lives if they just want, a little change in their lives, dude. So that's another mission of mine, dude. Whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, I'm just trying to impact for the positive and trying to give back in any way that I can. And that's what a High Speed Warriors mission is about, man.
That's fucking great, dude. It's awesome seeing an idea or a joke. I mean, that's how this started. It was a joke.
Yeah.
It's a fucking joke between me and a buddy. And I kind of thought about it for a couple seconds. I was like, hey, wait. So it's awesome watching that grow.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy for you, dude. Where can people find it?
So I got Instagram. It's official High Speed Warrior. Facebook, High Speed Warrior. And the actual website itself is officialhighspeedwarrior.com. As of right now, those are the only 3 platforms that I got. I don't know if I'll get anything else for it, but as far as the website's got links through Facebook and Instagram, so you could find them through there.
Sweet.
And then that's where I'm at right now. I just started last year, man, so we'll see how it grows, man. Google wasn't built in a fucking day. Nike wasn't built in a day. So we'll see where High Speed Warrior gets, man. I'm looking to make it big, man, and hopefully open a shop, like an actual physical shop, brick and mortar kind of deal.
Yeah.
For High Speed Warrior, man, and hopefully retire early, man, and just make it my sole business. So
yeah, that'd be sick, man.
But yeah, I try to come out with new apparel every day. As you saw, I got the shirt. New designs coming soon. So new apparel coming soon. Caps, mugs, bookmarks. All kinds of shit, dude. So,
oh yeah, that's awesome.
Trying to do it big.
All right, well, I really appreciate the time. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, man.
And on top of everything you do, you've got a family.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, man.
very appreciative of your time.
Of course.
And I'd love to do this again, dude.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me on, man. I really appreciate it.
I had a great time. And thank everyone for listening and watching. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.